Welcome back to another episode of Say Yes to Travel, where we have been talking with travel professionals in all different verticals of the travel industry. And today's guest, really interesting because he kind of has his finger on the pulse of a couple of different businesses in the industry. And I've got Brian Esposito, who is founder, CEO, investor of Esposito Intellectual Enterprises, a holding company with over 75 different entities. I will totally let him talk about more about what he's working on, but some of the companies that you might know, Starjets International, for example, Centered Travel Wellness. And he's actually working on a really cool, interesting new hotel concept that I'll let him talk about a little bit more. But without further ado, Brian, so good to finally connect with you. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure and honor. Thanks for having me on your great show.
Yeah, no, and it's, by the way, for those that are tuning in, Brian and I have been connected on LinkedIn for quite some time, and it feels like we've known each other for so many years. So it's great that we're finally able to connect over here because I know he's working on so many interesting things. So, you know, I know that you're definitely involved in the travel and hospitality space in a little bit of a different way, being, you know, sort of an entrepreneur, a CEO, investor, I know that we'll probably learn quite a bit from you. But before we get into kind of the projects as far as like what you're working on, can you just share a bit about your background to kind of just get viewers up to speed?
I'd be honored. So over the last 20 years, I've built what is known as a holding company at the top level, wholly owned by me, no other internal partners. And then underneath that, I've been honored to and humbled to accumulate over 75 different entities, also over 150 joint ventures from around the world, and operating in over 25 different industries. So it kind of was a mess for a long time, but I knew what the markets were demanding. I tried to partner with companies and my mom always say partners are for dancing, not for business. So then I started to build. I said, I need to build how I see the world and how I want to contribute to it and add value. I always go into every opportunity adding value. I tend to always say, make peanut butter and jelly and make something magical. So in order for me to do that, I needed to create the companies. I needed to support the companies, give them all the resources that they need to succeed, and then invite people into my world, opposed to me being invited into other people's world and then hoping and waiting for them to do the right thing, which unfortunately 9 out of 10 times doesn't happen. There's usually some sort of an issue, and then now you're not doing good business together. You're dealing with problems and all that nonsense. So I've been through hell and back, hopefully 2 or 3 times, and that's it. And now I built a great world where I love working with startups, even up to Fortune 500 companies, creating new value, creating new opportunities, take everything that I've built, my resources, my relationships, my experiences, and all the companies that I hold, and connect the dots and really create immediate value. And as it relates to the travel industry, how do you pivot and maneuver in what the world is now over the last year? How do you make money? How do you protect those assets? And how do you enhance the guest experience, which is the ultimate goal?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I love what you're saying. And because now really is this exciting time. Yes, obviously over the past year and a half has not been ideal for the travel industry. But as I'm sure you know, in just your previous experiences, is that sometimes it is those situations where it's not so ideal and we are forced to face challenges front on. That's where innovation happens. That's where change happens. That's where new and exciting things can happen. So, I mean, to me, arguably, like now we're like on the start of this upswing of, I think, a really exciting time in travel.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, to see the giant boost in private aviation, which is on fire right now. Ricky Sinner, the CEO of Starjets, dear friend, honored to be part of that entity. And what's phenomenal is the psyche. People with wealth, I believe, now are accustomed to a new way of travel where they're not going to put themselves or their family at risk going to the airport, going through security or the stress to it. Forget about even the health issue. They'll put their family on a private jet or charter a jet, and that tends to possibly be the new norm for their travel, and it keeps them out of harm's way. So that's great. And what people may not even be realizing right now in the private aviation space, again, which is on fire. You see great companies like Wheels Up go public last week or 2 weeks ago. The demand is strong, and the demand is beyond strong without even any business travel up and running yet. So can you only imagine when that world starts to kick in again and the executives begin to get on those planes and do business and move around the world? It's only going to hopefully see continued growth. And so happy to be part of that phenomenal, wonderful industry that's going through some great growth.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and which kind of brings me to the next question. So obviously, you are connected with different companies that are in the travel space, as you mentioned, Starjets International, also Centered Travel Wellness. Which, by the way, we have had the founders of both of those companies on this podcast, so it's so great to have you on as well too. But I guess like, what inspired you to work with them in particular, or even maybe whether even in the travel space? Is there something that kind of motivated you for that?
A lot of the introductions that usually tend to come to me are through banking relationships, maybe my
Okay.
accounting, maybe legal, and they're also clients of theirs,
Mm-hmm.
or even good inner circle contacts that I trust and respect.
Yeah.
And people know how I work.
Mhm.
I'm not money oriented. I'm not really no ego or greed. I love to get in the trenches and help companies grow.
Yeah.
I even love when there's a problem. Like, throw me in there. If you got the biggest problem in the world, show me where all the bodies are buried, and I will help navigate you through that. I will be a resource, and I will be a cheerleader to help you get through it with the right resources, the right help, and I'll help you find value in dormant assets or dormant IP. So yeah, again, I got brought into those companies. Probably they were going through a capital raise, a good introduction, and then I fell in love with not only their model but also the leadership there. I love
Mm-hmm.
to work as a team. When they're my companies, it's my rules because my ass is on the line. But when they're other people's companies, I know what they need. I can take a step back. I don't need the accolades or the credit. I'm there to make sure that they become a success. I'm there to help them, all their stakeholders. Starjets International happens to be a public entity,
Mm-hmm.
so my job is to protect that company, feed it new opportunities, feed it new market value, and hopefully help the shareholders increase their investment and have a liquidity event at someday in the public market. So I love to be able to open those doors up and then connect them. Like, those two entities didn't know each other until I came
Mm-hmm.
along, and now there's great opportunities that they're discussing on what they could do in the travel industry, how they can help enhance the guest experience or the traveler's
Yeah.
experience through Centered Travel Wellness's marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Their creative suite of putting together these experiences that are health and wellness related, that relate to where they're going to stay, what restaurant they're going to go to. Is there a health and wellness spa that cater to those travelers' needs? And again, make it the best experience and really justify the price point that people are spending money on. I value and cherish every dollar. And people of that world, even though it's relative to their worth or their net worth, it's still a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money. So if they're
Yeah, yeah.
spending money, they want to feel good about it. They want to feel validated that they made the right decisions, and they want to feel safe.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting. I mean, just you talking about it's just reminding me of all the many, many years of my experience as far as working in luxury hotels. And it's, I think all too often in those instances, they're just like, oh, well, you know, people are used to spending that much money, but it's like, well, it's still a lot of money, and it's like people want to feel good about it. They're like, okay, this is great. Like, yes, we know this might, be a higher cost, but we like what we're getting for the cost. And so it's very much like understanding the psyche
Absolutely.
of
And
the travelers.
hopefully they brag about it to their inner circle of high net wealth individuals. And that's how you get that snowball effect. Every business that I ever grew or got behind, I was so excited to get one customer at a time, and you
Yeah.
just keep building upon that. And they're doing great things. Centered Travel Wellness, they got over 55 million members in their ecosystem. And what we found was quite
Amazing.
unique and interesting. During lockdown, people were finding experiences in their own hometowns or their home cities that they didn't even know existed. So they were utilizing a system like that to start to get new experiences. So we I don't know what we're calling it. Like, it was a travel oriented
Uh-huh.
service, but without going anywhere. Like, I guess you can take the term staycation, but really opening up new opportunities and ideas and experiences that people didn't even know existed in their own backyard.
Yeah, which is so great because again, people are exploring travel in such a different way, and certainly a fan of what they're doing over at Centered as well. So again, that marketplace and it's cool how, especially how you're describing all of these businesses, and it is that excitement over. It's like whether it's like one new customer at a time. I mean, that's coming from such a genuine, organic place, and I mean, I think that's really kind of the key to success for any business is it's okay, one brick at a time. We're good to build it that way.
I was excited that Centered also through another one of my holdings, which was Beauty Match.
Yes.
CEO Joel Mallet is a tremendous guy, great individual. I bred and I got my teeth. What is that called in the industry? I don't know what the term I'm looking for. But I started in the beauty space in the
Yeah.
late 90s. I built the first B2B, B2C e-commerce platform for beauty. So I really created a great mousetrap. And that's what led me to continue my career in building these companies and supporting these companies. But the beauty industry, it used to be beauty, tobacco, liquor, and gambling that were all recession proof. That entire philosophy has shifted tremendously. Now it's just beauty is not only recession proof, but it's also proven to be pandemic proof. So when you start to tie in the traveler's experience and you have that beauty component where men and women can not only look their best, but also feel their best while they're traveling, and Beauty Match is that tool that brings them the best cosmetic hair services, styling and makeup services, best products on their marketplace, so that traveler can again have all of the necessary services to really experience the best time they possibly can and look their best, which is important to how you feel.
Yeah, yeah, and it's great that you're able to like find that intersection, because I think all too often, we might overlook that. It's like, oh, wait a second, there is actually more overlap than one might think originally, and especially being able to have them intersect at a time like this, where we were talking about being recession proof. And I guess now we can talk about things being pandemic proof. Hopefully we don't live through another one in our lifetime, but definitely it's this new concept, but it's very much a reality that we're living through. So I wanted to actually ask, depending on how much you're able to share, you're working on creating an entirely new hotel concept, which is based around digital assets that use the property to be replicated around the globe. So talk more about that, because I'm curious, but share what you can share.
Absolutely. So exciting new concept. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of new ideas that are going to be thrown into the hospitality space, especially the hotel space, because unfortunately I don't think you're going to see is you're seeing these properties bought at a high discount right now, some 40, 50, 60% off of their current market value. So you're going to see these hotel flags pick up an asset or a property and have a very nice margin of a discount. But ideally, I don't think they're going to drop the hotel room prices. I think people are accustomed to when the prices they raise, they usually stay there, and that's the new floor. However, with that being said, there's new profitability and new opportunities. Now, what do those buildings look like? What goes on in those buildings? What are the experiences like? Do you take some of the rooms out and do a co-residency and co-guest suite so you have a higher key value? And what we're looking at developing is, I'm excited about. It's a phenomenal concept. I really felt strong about it in Miami when they had the Bitcoin conference in March. There were all of these side parties and meetings going on all over the city, which was so exciting and phenomenal. The industry is on fire, but that community doesn't have a place where they can go and utilize the digital assets that they have and love and support, nor a place for them to get together and feel like they're part of something.
Yeah.
So if you take the hotel environment, and there's a lot of great properties again available on the market at a heavy discount, and you completely repurpose that building for a digital asset or a cryptocurrency consumer and user and advocate. That market, they spend more money in digital assets than they do in the real world, which is a phenomenal thing to experience.
Yeah.
And they love community and they love being part of something. So if you take a building and you get rid of some of the rooms and you start to do private residencies for some of these cryptocurrency platforms or these actual companies that have very high valuations and they're spending a lot of money, where can they go and feel valued, and where can they go and share their knowledge and experience with the community? So you have that aspect to it.
Oh, cool.
And then with companies like Nodal, which I'm honored to be a part of that team, I lead on global partnerships. It's one of my most coveted holdings. They become the world's largest global wireless network without building a single cell tower or a single Wi-Fi station. They're connecting millions of phones around the world, and they're moving data, connecting to IoT devices. Now, the demand for that network justifies the value of their cryptocurrency known as Nodal Cash. So if everybody has Nodal Cash app on their phone, it's for the first time ever where anybody can get involved in cryptocurrency. They simply download the app, and then when they're walking around their daily life, they connect to their toaster, they connect to a scooter, they connect to some IoT device that's broadcasting data. They earn Nodal Cash for allowing us to use their mobile phone to be able to do that. We're very privacy focused. We don't sell or collect any personal information. All we want is that data that little chip is broadcasting out. And there's value to that. There's actually a lot of value to that. Now, because you have Nodal Cash on your phone, you go into the hotel environment, you book your room, you pay for the turkey sandwich, you go and order a Bloody Mary, you go and spa, but it's very crypto focused and easy and user friendly.
Oh,
Then
that's awesome.
the most exciting part of the entire building, which I'm obsessed with, is we want to, this might not be every property, but again, it's in concept phase. Get rid of the entire ballroom floor,
Uh-huh.
which is a burden. And if it's empty, it's just losing and bleeding money. And even when it's full, you may not be profitable in that type of environment. And
Mm-hmm.
turn it into a New York Stock Exchange trading platform or an actual floor. And we're able to,
Interesting.
pretty hot, right? And we're able to do this because the people that built and ran the Chicago Mercantile Exchange are dear friends and colleagues. I'm honored to be part of that company called CDX, or Chicago Digital Holdings. Their CEO, Fred Greed, ran the Chicago Merc and his team for over 30 years. They know how to create liquid markets. They know how to build a robust platform that can move trillions of dollars in commodities, which they've done for decades. Take
Mm-hmm.
that model, bring it into a hotel environment, sell seats like you would sell at the New York Stock Exchange. All these cryptocurrency companies or entities that actually have a seat on a floor and a physical, tangible exchange that people can now touch, feel, and experience. That's what's missing between generational wealth and new wealth, where they don't understand cryptocurrencies. They don't understand
Yeah.
digital assets. They can't see it. They can't touch it. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But if you start to replicate
Mm-hmm.
institutional models that people are used to, like, oh, it has a floor, it has a trading floor, I get
Yeah.
it. They're moving another type of a commodity, which is a digital asset.
Mm-hmm.
And then more importantly, with people like Fred and his team, they know how to work with regulatory, they know how to work with the right professionals, they know how to build a platform that can move a lot of volume, but they can do it in the right way and work with government agencies to make sure that it's properly run and properly protected. So now you start to see, here's a building that was
Yeah.
devalued 50%. We could fill it up with hopefully guests that want to flock there because they love crypto. They can buy residencies for whether it's tax purposes, where they now have a residency in Florida, for example. And then they have a
Mm-hmm.
trading floor where they can go and experience, and they can use technologies like Nodal Cash to do all of their commerce. And it seems like a great model. We're putting all the pieces together. Honored to be having all these companies involved. And I hope
That's so exciting.
there's other flags and models to replicate it. We don't need to own this space, but we want to build a safe environment for people to repurpose those buildings, make them valuable again, make people going to them, and obviously creating jobs for
Yeah.
hospitality and service and F&B brands to be in that facility and have a successful business.
Well, and what I really love about this, because I've had a lot of conversations, and this is so cool. I mean, everything that you're kind of putting together with this is it makes it a bit more tangible. Because I think a lot of, whether there might be hesitation or people that are still trying to feel their way through, cryptocurrency and all of that, it's the tangibility aspect. And this is like, you're actually taking, as you kind of how you were describing, but it's like, these older buildings, this old school, this area and element that we know, but then you're bridging the gap in a way that, that I think will get more people that might have been on the fence about, cryptocurrency and all that. It'll be easier for them to adopt it, is what I'm trying to say. Just because you're kind of like bringing it to them in an environment that they're comfortable with.
That's the goal. I mean, all you see is news on cryptocurrency. You see tweets and Yahoo messages.
Yeah.
Everything's crypto, which is great. It's a brand new, wonderful financial vehicle, and hopefully it's a great way for people to generate some wealth.
Totally.
But what's really exciting is it's only 4 or 5% of the global population is involved in crypto. Can you see what would happen if it becomes 10%, 20%,
Exactly.
30%? It's phenomenal. And the only way I believe for it to get there, like you're saying, is it needs to have some resemblance of traditional financial vehicles that people are used to. Their stockbroker for 20 years needs to call them and say, hey, you should go and buy X, Y, and Z digital asset. And they're on the Chicago Digital Holdings or Chicago Digital Exchange floor. People can connect with that. It's something that they're familiarized with. And they put their guns on the table and they say, oh, I'll give that a shot. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's within their normal characteristics of how they buy assets or trade assets.
Completely. And it makes so sense. I mean, it's exciting because in all the different ideas that I've seen that have been kind of out there, I feel the legs in this because I understand like what kind of, I don't want to say pain points, but the, kind of the areas where maybe like the gap needed to be bridged a bit more. So quick thing. Want to kind of just talk about like a couple more things. Obviously, you've got your companies that are in various aspects of the industry. And this past year has been challenging. So, kind of in your role, maybe not necessarily as like leading the charge, but certainly as a support, in a position of support. Was there anything that you maybe like encouraged, some of the companies that you're working with to focus on differently throughout the past year? And like, were there unexpected wins from that? How were you kind of helping them navigate?
Thanks to my history of always having a problem to have to deal with.
Right.
I was like, okay, it's another problem. I said, most importantly, across all holdings and interests, I said, we are not going to sit and whine and complain about it. Even early on, nobody knew how long it was going to last. Nobody anticipated it going into 2021 and 2022 and 2023. It is the new norm. Somebody sneezes and people dive on the floor like it's Vietnam. Like people are nervous.
This is true.
With that being said, now what can we do in our holdings? And that's why it's, some people do one thing and do it well, and God bless them. But if the market doesn't demand that or need it, you're in a lot of trouble. Yeah. And you saw a lot of business people get into certain businesses and industries because their core business was no longer operational and no revenues, there was no employees. What do? That's when people tend to get into trouble because they're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So with us, we're like, okay, there's value here. There's opportunities here. There's ways to pick up dormant assets. There's ways to help companies that are failing or lost. So I was right in there and wished I could have brought in more, but we quickly did some great projects. Nodal again with the cryptocurrency company, because there's a giant wireless network. We started to look at what can we do with that network and connecting devices. So their founders, Garrett Kinsman and Misha Ben-Oliel, created the Coalition app, which was a privacy-focused contact tracing app. And those protocols were then replicated and used for the likes of Apple and Google when they launched their contact tracing apps. And then on top of that, Nodal launched an award-winning contact tracing device for enterprise people to get back to work. So you start building these products that the market's demanding. And the only way you can do that and do it correctly and timely is if you have a great team around you with great access, great resources, but you got to execute properly, and it's got to be priced right to get into the market and fill that need. That's a timeless model. Find the need, fill need. It'll never go out of style. But if you're wasting time worrying or wondering or scared, then you're missing what could be a great opportunity. You just have to pause your fears, pause your anxieties, and you got to make sure you're focusing on what your work is, and how you can contribute to what the market needs. And of course, people have to scale back, and I kind of love that about the world. I love that people maybe realize that you didn't need too much and you could be happy with little. But I also want them to hop on a Starjet's jet and travel to their destination. The business has to make money, but in reality, it's great to see people scale back a little bit and realize we don't need that much stuff. We can be happy with simple things. We can be happy with family, and we can be very happy with fun experiences, which centered travel wellness was able to hopefully provide to their ecosystem of members around the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. So with that, kind of talking about, a bit of those businesses, obviously a lot's changed, but are you seeing, what sort of trends are you seeing as far as like in that travel space that you maybe think are here to stay? Certainly private aviation on the way up, this notion of wellness travel, anything else that you kind of are thinking?
Well, there's great companies like SenseWare. I love being able to work with that team, and they have beautiful suite of patents and hardware that monitors air quality and bacteria and pathogens in a facility or in a room. So they're rolling that out into hospitality markets. So they're sensing the air quality and have a great dashboard so people can have immediate alerts. I see something like that as I'm glad people are cleaning places better or like they should have. And I don't mind wearing a mask on a plane. I say, this is actually a smart idea. I haven't felt a cold or a normal ailment in a while. So I'm like, this makes a little bit of sense. So that's maybe smart. That 20-hour flight, that could be ridiculous and hard to cope.
More challenging, yeah.
But a 2-hour, 3-hour flight, it's not the end of the world. And if you don't get sick and it doesn't impact your own well-being and your capabilities to work, it's not a bad ask of people. So what I'm seeing, like things like SenseWare and companies that are monitoring real time room environment, is if you think of food grades for like New York City, for example, a lot of restaurants have an A, B, C, D letter on their window. I'd like to see that type of concept applied to what is the air quality and the health environment in this facility, from sensors in that building that are reporting back, hopefully back to Nodal's network that can pick up that data and let the consumer, the guest or the traveler know, hey, this is a healthy environment. There's no pathogens or any type of bacteria flying around here. It's a safe place to hang out and enjoy the experience. And people need to, when you can't see what's going on, you just think the worst. So
of course.
You need to visualize what the eye can't see in a report system that's real time for people to feel safe again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, and I love that you're bringing that up, because, it is something that is just drawing a little bit more attention to maybe something we should have been focusing on to begin with. And so, and it's also this idea of, you can look at a situation and be, oh gosh, this is annoying or not ideal, or you can be like, okay, there's actually advantages to this. And, if you kind of embrace it, I think it's, everybody wins in the long run. So you've been sharing so many nuggets, and you kind of talked a little bit just as far as like how you were kind of guiding the companies that you work with, but it is this challenging time right now. And depending on different, businesses or entrepreneurs, they might feel, I don't know if they feel like necessarily disheartened, but it still can be a challenging time for some individuals. So if, that being the case, do you have any advice? I would think maybe this might be like overall advice for those that might be looking ahead and saying, okay, the mountain is still very, very steep, but what advice would you share for them so they kind of keep them moving forward?
Yeah, you just, again, it's easy for me to say my world, because again, I've been through so much more than the average bear. So I'm used to problems. If you don't have a mindset that there's always going to be a problem, but that's exciting. And for someone like me, is how do you strategize and how do you overcome that problem? And I 9 out of 10 times I'll take a problem and I'll turn it into a bigger, better opportunity. That's just how I am. I love when people come at me with a problem, because then sometimes I made my best friends with that. I'm like, okay, listen, it wasn't intentional. What can we do together? I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe people meet for a reason. But the worst thing you can do, and I don't fault anybody for it, people are scared. There's political unrest. There's, whether you believe in vaccines, you don't believe in vaccines. There's economic uncertainties. There's a global pandemic. I mean, every day you wake up and you're scared, and it's not easy to even cope with that in addition to doing your normal job. And you have employees depending on you, and you're filling out applications for maybe government loans to help you stay in business. This is all part of a necessary evil. You need to find a way to get through it. I do think you do need to speak with people. There's great organizations. One I'm part of, and not for this reason. It's called Invisible Disabilities. I really connected to that organization. It's been around for over 20 years, but I believe the entire world is now dealing with an invisible disability. We all have anxieties, stresses, and fears.
Definitely.
And that's okay. You need to not. You need to embrace that. You need to say, it's okay. I'm not alone. This is happening. The world is upside down. You're not alone. So there, right off the bat, you should feel some comfort that everybody's going through this. I was at one point in my career when I had to rebuild certain things, because I went through an awful situation in 2016 where I got into a terrible car accident. My whole world fell apart. But then when 2020 came, I'm like, oh, there's other people now going through what I went through in 2016. So good, because I came out of it stronger, smarter, more seasoned. And this is a great time and a great excuse for people to clean house. If you have anybody in your inner circle, or any business partners, or anybody that's draining energy from you, or a negative force, they need to go. And this is the best time in your lifetime that you can make a decision and clean house, and you can actually start over, start fresh, rebuild, regroup. You know what not to do. Now, here's a great chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4 for you. And the world handed it to you in a global pandemic, but there are opportunities out there, and people shouldn't be afraid to go and seek help if they're feeling very anxious, stressed, or overwhelmed, because it's a reality, and you're not alone.
Yeah, no. And by the way, that's just overall great life advice. So for everyone that's listening, this definitely, can certainly apply to them. So wait, a couple last questions. First of all, where are you right now? Because this view is incredible.
And it's real.
It's real.
I'm in southern New Jersey right now.
Amazing. Amazing. I have to say, I've been looking at the clouds this whole time, just being like, oh my gosh, it's like we're on vacation with you. So just to wrap things up, are there any, are there any, final projects that you might be working on that we should stay tuned for? And how can people get in touch with you and stay connected?
So there's always exciting things happening. I'm grateful for that. One of which we just had our go public with a company called Turncoin based out of South Africa, Cape Town area. It's over 5 years of development. Rudolf Markroff, the CEO and founder, really did an amazing job in building this platform. It's the first people for people exchange where you can actually buy a virtual share of a celebrity, an entertainer, an actor, an actress, an athlete.
Yes.
And you can even help amateurs fuel their career when they put themselves up on the exchange, whatever sub-exchange that they're part of, and their friends and family and peers can buy a virtual share to help support their career. It's a phenomenal project. We have the support of Drew Brees, who was there for the opening. Patrick Mahomes has given us support. American Idol, famous talent, Randy Jackson has gotten behind it. And we'll keep announcing wonderful new participants. But that's a reason I bring it up. It's something for everybody. And it's the ability for people to monetize their popularity and to actually put themselves out in the world, and people that believe in them or want to be part of them or have some sort of connection with them can be part of their journey and help fuel their career. So anybody listening, there's going to be exchanges for every industry. So it'd be great to have people of all different industries and professional sports and entertainment to join that platform and basically go public. They become their own stock and they sell virtual shares to their audience. But yeah, that's one of many amazing things I'm honored to be part of. My job across all entities is to create value, open up opportunities, get to tell my story to great people like you on your tremendous show. And anybody can reach out to me. I typically only use Twitter and LinkedIn, so it's Brian J. Esposito on both. Or the corporate website is eie.rocks, eie.rocks. And as you probably know, I get back to everybody as quickly as I can.
You are so efficient, I have to say. I'm always so envious. I'm like, how is he so on it? So I definitely, you were definitely spot on when it comes to that. And always
a trick on that. I don't use Instagram. I don't use Facebook. So if people were to take the time that they spend there and put it towards their professional career, that might be the best advice I can give. Okay. Focus on your professional career and you can create opportunities, and don't worry about the noise and nonsense with your friends or family members or
Very true. Very true. Although I have to say you're missing my show on Instagram, but that's a story for another day.
Well,
no, I'm teasing you.
Now I feel guilty and I'll go watch it.
Okay, fine. You get to see all of my adventures. No, Brian, this has been so amazing. Such a delight. I mean, again, we have been talking for months, online. So to be able to kind of connect like this and to be able to share what you're working on, you're so inspiring as well too. So thank you so much for sharing everything. We'll definitely be sure to share all of the details about the different projects that you're working on and how to connect with you in the show notes. So for everyone that's tuning in, be sure to take a look at all the exciting projects that Brian is behind, and as well as connecting with him on LinkedIn, because he will get back to you. I can attest to that. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to continue joining us as we have future episodes coming up. And as always, say yes to travel.